Hello and welcome to another anime lore and theory video. I'm Shergok, your host, and today we are going to take a closer look and whether or not Platinum has anything to do with the end of the 13 heroes and the player that had led them. But before we're going to take a closer look at any of this, let me quickly thank my patrons for supporting this channel, as well as say thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And with that said, let's get to the topic at hand. Platinum Dragonlord is the self-proclaimed protector of the New World, defending it from the evil influence and beings of magic and might from Yggdrasil Online. At first glance, this protector of the New World seems like a typical good, kind and noble dragon, and he is based on Bahamut, the dragon god from Dungeons and Dragons, and the leader of the metallic and thus good dragons. And in conversations with his former companions, Platinum behaved quite friendly and did not talk down to them from his position of power. However, Platinum has a dark side. While he was friendly with Azud, he, privately, wondered how to best eliminate the man to give his armor to a worthier and more competent wearer, one who is not as weak as him, and one who takes his task seriously instead of just chasing women. And fun fact, Lakius and Azud have a similar relationship to Rudius and Norn Greyrad. Lakius actually found her religion because Azud was so much of a playboy, to put it in very YouTube-friendly ways. Similarly, Norn converted to the Millis faith, the faith of her mother, because she didn't like Rudius' infidelity and polygamy. So Platinum fought cold-bloodedly about eliminating his friend and companion from behind, just so his armor, which really belongs to Azud and wasn't just a gift from Platinum, could go to a stronger wearer. All this was in the name of defending his world. So the question arises whether Platinum also targeted members of the 13 heroes, who were much more than just 13 heroes by the way, and included undead like Evil Eye, or other humanoids like the Dwarf King. Because it is noticeable that during the Dwarven Kingdom arc, there was no trace of the Dwarf King, or his tomb, and the Regency Council, which represents him, has been ruling, in alternating terms of course, for about 200 years. The question then is, what happened to him? And he just might have been defeated in battle by the evil gods, and then eaten, so that not even his bones could be returned to his homeland. But it is conspicuous that he is missing and that we hear nothing about the legendary 13 heroes. Even though the battle against the evil gods were 2 centuries ago, and despite there are only 2 survivors we know of, Evil Eye and Regret, and despite the theocracy claiming that the 13 heroes were only 13 people, and only humans at that, there were likely just as many people willing and able to fight against the evil gods as there could be. Therefore, there should be elves, dwarves, and especially heteromorphic beings still around, because as we know, heteromorphs do not age. And if they were members of the 13 heroes, it is unlikely that they were killed by a wild beast or something like that. But the only surviving members we know of are Regret, who is still friends with Platinum, or rather still useful to him, and Evil Eye, whose power is used for the benefit of humanity and the New World. And she is on Regret's older adventurer team, so she basically is protected by proxy, because Regret is still useful to Platinum. Also the fact that none of the 2 players survived, who came to the New World 200 years ago, and fought alongside the 13 heroes and became members, makes this even more suspicious. And Platinum had an excuse that the player rejected the resurrection magic and all of that, but considering how he lied to Azud, it's hard for me to believe that he told Regret the truth when he talked about that. So the question arises, why might Platinum have eliminated the 13 heroes and the players? And the first motive is known. For example, after the Dwarf King was no longer of use to Platinum, he might have eliminated the Dwarf King, claiming it was the evil gods or something, and to steal his runecraft items from him. And even though runecraft almost fell into oblivion 200 years later, it was much more widespread and way better during the Dwarf King's lifetime, so that they could be given to a more worthy holder by Platinum after he took care of the Dwarf King. And the 13 heroes received weapons from the arsenal of the former capital city of the 8 Great Kings. So each member was a potential target, just for having these weapons. As for the players, perhaps Platinum, as the leader of the 13 heroes, thought in his weaker days that he could still eliminate the player in an emergency because he still was so weak and so vulnerable. He was the weakest member originally. But as he grew stronger and more powerful, even surpassing Platinum's armor and becoming the strongest member of the 13 heroes, Platinum might have felt forced to act. He feared that this growth would continue and that he would eventually become weaker than the player, which would mean that the world, as in the times of the 8 Kings of Erebus, would be at the mercy of the player's whims and wishes, and Platinum wanted to prevent that. And even if the player, like Azud Ainra, did consider Platinum a loyal friend and companion, and perhaps he now regretted his supposed overcaution and realized that he didn't have to eliminate or reduce the number of the 13 heroes, especially had not to betray the player who had led them, because he was good and truly on his side. And this would also explain why Rigrid or Evila had survived, because Platinum just stopped with the purge halfway through. And that's perhaps also why Platinum hesitated to eliminate a pleading Eins, or rather Pandora's actor disguised as Eins, without explanation and justification. It was not so much for Eins that Platinum said what he had said. He needed this explanation for himself to justify his actions, to convince himself that he was not making a terrible mistake again, and that Eins truly deserved to die, even if the kingdom struck first and attacked the grain transport in Rias ties, because the response of the Sorcerer Kingdom was way out of proportion. In other words, even though Platinum Dragonlord wants to fight against the invaders from Yggdrasil for the sake of the new world, he defends his world by taking the life of both friends and foes alike, just for the sake of it. And that's all for today. And now it's your turn. What's your opinion on the end of the 13 heroes and why so few might have survived? Do you think Platinum is behind it or not? And what about the suspicious end of both players? Let me know it in the comment section. And while you're typing, I say thank you very much for watching and special thanks to Other Daddy Other, ASK, Bad Guy Yi, Bad Burrito 316, Beezer, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Dinpep, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Moreno, Hoss, Hustar, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Loverazor, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, Oh Kill, Overlord General Gaspar, Paddy Pantum, Personage, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Cune Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Sir Axolotl, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Zinukai, and Sonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.